You're never gonna see this on any mainstream news.
This ain't what you want, this is what you need.
Ain't never forget.
Yeah, they made us slaves, hung our kids from trees.
I never forget.
Nooses on our neck, whipped us till we bleed.
And they gotta get it.
Hey man, call it Galatians 3:13.
Woo.
You're now tuned in to Precept Upon Precept.
Crew so strange. Look at how low they hang. Oh man, took out the chains. So when the wind blow, we just swing. Much oppression, never kill 'em. Break his rings and it's bitter. Ready, set, pull a trigger. Send a postcard, pick a nigga.
Group. We are not affiliated with any other Israelite group. Israel United in Christ is a non-violent, Bible-based movement. We do not advocate or condone any acts of violence against any race, ethnicity, or gender. We advise that if anyone hears or knows of any plots to cause harm to anyone or to break the laws of the land, you must contact the proper authorities and bring awareness to any possible threat, as stated in Leviticus chapter 5 and verse 1.
Hey, shalom, y'all. Welcome to another edition of Precept Upon Precept, y'all. We're running behind schedule because it's my fault. I was working in the back window of my car with no lights, and I lost 3 screws. So we're 15 minutes late. Shout out to everybody that logs in. And real quick, I'm going to do this before we introduce ourselves. Right here in the spirit of Deacon Malachi, PayPal, Booster Club, donate, text GIVE to 646-982-3858. All right, or you can also click the PayPal icon. So, without further ado, we are your hosts. My name is Captain Shem, y'all.
Officer Micah.
Officer Mikael.
And we're actually a man short tonight because we have terrible communication. The precept upon precept and all that's going to change starting next week with an accountability check. All praise the Lord. So, without further ado, the faithful 3 are here. Officer Micah and the Watchman Report. Take it away.
You are now live.
We the sons of God, we don't back down. I'll take it to your face, I tell you right now.
Shalom, Israel, Most High in Christ. Bless. All praise to the Most High. We got another great show lined up. Tech team, let's get to it. U.S. reimposes its blockade on Iran. They never stopped the blockade. After Tehran's attacks on ships in the Strait of Hormuz, they never stopped attacking those ships. Hey, y'all got to pay attention to what's going on. More than 125 million Americans under dangerous heat coast to coast. Make sure that you are hydrating. You'll get your salts if you need to. If you are disgusting and overweight, make sure you find yourself a healthy diet, because if you're overweight, you have a better chance of being a heat casualty. Fix yourself. Canadian wildfire smoke returns to NYC. Tri-state air quality alerts and live updates. So the air up there is kind of thin right now. It's a Canadian wildfire going on. That smoke may be affecting our people. So let's make sure we keep in prayers. Keep rolling. U.S. intensifies strikes on Iran. I thought they weren't fighting anymore. Disables ships to enforce blockade. So now they are still striking on Iran, and now it's to the point where they're disabling ships and they're causing a blockade. That's going to affect trade, y'all. Make sure y'all paying attention. The use of force has become a default tool. Pay attention. This is affecting Northern and Southern Kingdom. The use of force has become a default tool for ICE officers, a new report finds. They just took the life of somebody down in Texas. They are not looking to de-escalate. They are escalating situations, and it's causing bodily harm to our people. So make sure y'all keep our people in prayer, because times are going to get bad, and let's make sure that we right with the Lord. All right? This concludes the Watchman Report.
You are now live.
All right, y'all, check it out. Check it out. So just like we have to, Officer Mike is watching report, we're going to take a look at the thumbnail, and then we're going to take a look at the mini animation. So, Officer Mikael.
So tonight's show is war. What is it good for? Absolutely something. Yes. For those that are older, it is a play on the song by Edwin Starr. But what we're going to get into is what exactly is that something that it's good for? Because you see the main players, you got Donald Trump, you got Netanyahu, you got the Ayatollah's son, and you got the president of Iran. And in the back, you got the memory of the Ayatollah, and you see all the turmoil is in the Middle East. So let's go ahead and play the thumbnail.
Yes. Shout out to Officer Mikael. Excellent. AI is getting better and better, but you got to have the prompts to write it to make it pop like that. So we had a trip this past Sabbath, and we was listening to all cuts from the 60s, 70s, and one is war. What it is it good for? Absolutely nothing. So that was the song, and I'm saying to myself, war is good for something because it lets us know, as the 12 tribes of Israel who understand this truth, that we're living in the last days, and this war is going to be one of the key points that's going to bring the Arabs together and get the U.S. turned on by everybody. So let's start first with number. Let me look at number one real quick. Is it tonight's content? Let me just see it real quick. Matter of fact, Map of the Persian Gulf. There's something I want to talk about real quick. I also want you to, the name, you keep hearing about the Strait of Hormuz, the Strait of Hormuz, Strait of Hormuz. Well, we covered about 6 months ago. Go down. I want to see the Strait of Baal. Yes. This is very, very important, y'all. When you look at the Strait of Bab el Mandeb, the Bab el Mandeb Strait, it is more of a choke point than the Strait of Hormuz. It's more of a choke point than even the Strait of Gibraltar. Give me the map. Give me the map of the Mediterranean Sea. There are key choke points in the world. One, circle the Sinai Peninsula. Circle the Strait of Suez Canal. This is a major point of port that connects the Mediterranean and all the other waterways above Turkey, the Baltic areas, down to the Red Sea, which goes to all the way around Saudi Arabia. Another major choke point is, scroll down, please. You were just there. Yes, sir. Straight up. Right there. Perfect. You see where it says Djibouti, Yemen. So today's show is going to cover Yemen, right? We talked about Yemen and the power that Yemen has. Now, this is, I believe, if not the second narrowest strait in the world. This is very, very important. And guess who controls? Djibouti's got no power. Yemen has a certain amount of power. Now, show the Strait of Hormuz. Strait of Hormuz, please. Again, it's still a very narrow choke point. Arguably the more important of the two, but the Red Sea is important because Saudi Arabia has ports in Jeddah, Mecca, okay, Jazah, and all these areas. They're shipping their oil. They can take it by train, ship it from other parts across Saudi Arabia up and out, up to the Gulf of Aqaba, which is the Suez Canal, or down through the Strait of Abel, that one right there. So keep that in mind. This is very important. You're going to hear about You're going to hear about this as much as the Strait of Hormuz is coming up soon. All right, let's go to number one. Number one on tonight.
Last night.
Okay, I pause. Let me set the precedence. So why is it that the MOU was signed and wanted to be worked on by some of the policy decision makers in the Republican Party, and others did not want to? The reason why is because at the hand of all the evil behind this is the IDF, Israeli Defense Force, under the Zionist genocidal regime known as the Israeli government. Okay, the Zionist Israeli government, genocidal maniac government. And this is according to many Jewish people that are saying it. I'm just quoting them. So this is the evil that's behind all this, and God's allowing it to happen. Tucker Carlson, they hate this guy. This guy used to be buddies with Trump like this, and he used to be on Fox News. They hate this guy. They hate Candace Owen. They killed Charlie Kirk because they started to talk about the evils of the Israeli government. Listen to this.
In Qatar and Saudi Arabia, authorities arrested Mossad agents planning on committing bombings in those countries. Now, that's weird. That doesn't make any sense. Why would the Israelis be committing bombings in two Gulf countries, which are also being attacked by Iran? Aren't they on the same side? No. Israel wants to hurt Iran and Qatar and UAE and Saudi and Bahrain and Oman and Kuwait.
Keep that in mind. The Israeli government is against the Arabs at large, and they do false, false flag attacks, and they set things up to make it look like Iran is doing that to the actual Saudis. Okay. Number two, and y'all brothers, Officer Michael, we're late tonight, so please, at any time, y'all jump in. If you got anything you want to add, be my guest, please. All right, number two.
You are anti.
Hold on, real quick. Here is a Caucasian man, and he's talking about the lineage of Esau and is pretty much evil. Let's play.
You are anti-Semitic, and Tucker Carlson and Candace Owens and everybody's anti-Semitic, but you probably don't know what the word actually means. So, hi, my name is Brian. I'm a little bit of a historian. I'm going to teach you a little bit about history and what the word anti-Semitic actually comes from, okay? Anti-Semitic comes from anti-Shemitic.
Stop. So real quick, I know Officer Michael, Bishop Nathaniel, and the bishops have been teaching this for years.
Yes.
Years and years and years. That Sem is from Shem, from the line of Noah. So Japhetic people are not Semites, neither are Hamitic. But Shemitic, which is much of the world's population, are. You want to go, brothers, want to go into that a little bit?
The line of Shem, Shemitic people, it covers a vast amount of people. It covers the Arabs. It covers the Chinese, the Japanese. It covers you're a Shemite. And Esau's a Shemite. But for them to claim that somebody's anti-Shemitic, that would mean they're anti themselves, because most of the world is Shemitic.
And if you look at the chart, good job, tech team. Good job. So you can see Shem has Elam, Ashur, Arphaxad, Lud, Aram. When you go down the center, right? So Eber had Joktan, he had Peleg. And if you go down Peleg, Terah, Serug, Nahor, Terah had, so all of that line, plus Joktan's line, plus Aram's line, all down to Terah, and then Abraham, Nahor, Haran had Lot. Abraham had Isaac, Esau, Jacob, Edomites, Ishmael, Ishmaelites. Then you had all of these lines of people are all Shemitic biblically. And the thing is about the Jewish man who's called some Jewish people refer to themselves as they're from Judaism, and they don't believe in Zionism. They don't believe in the repatriation on this time period. But all of them say that they believe that they're the real Jews, right? So the split is that if they labeled you as an anti-Semite, that means that you're anti-Israeli Jewish and against Zionism. But really, if you're killing Palestinians, you're anti-Semitic. If white people kill Palestinians, that's anti-Semitic. Even though they're both from Shem, they're anti-Semitic because they're killing line of Shem. So that's a little history for you. So Esau is telling what Bishop has been teaching us through the Bible for years. Play on.
Word actually means. So, hi, my name is Brian. I'm a little bit of a historian. I'm going to teach you a little bit about history and what the word anti-Semitic actually comes from, okay? Anti-Semitic comes from anti-Shemitic. It does not necessarily mean one who is against the Jews. It means one who is against those from the line of Shem, anti-Shemitic. That's where it comes from, right? So, who is the line of Shem, though, you might ask yourself? Because you might think that the line of Shem is only the Jews. It actually embraces everybody. In fact, you heard that song, Father Abraham has many sons as Father Abraham, right? I'm one of them, and so are you. Everybody's actually from the line of Shem, regardless. But we're going to go into what the actual line of Shem is and is not. But first, the line of Shem is one of Noah's 3 sons. He has 3 sons, Japheth, Ham, and Shem. Shem has Eber, where we get the word Eberus, or the Hebrews, right? And then Eber goes down to, you have Abraham and Jacob, Isaac and Jacob, right? Jacob becomes Israel. So that would be the line of Shem. Israelites, people from the line of Shem. However, the Jews today, are they from the line of Shem? Well, let me give you a little bit of a history lesson. There is arguably two main types of Jews. Ashkenazi Jews and Sephardic Jews are kind of the main overarching types. They'll tell you about 80% are Ashkenazi Jews. But the reality is more like 100%. You see, during World War II, all of the Ashkenazi Jews took over and all of the Sephardic Jews were wiped off. So there is no other Jew. There is only Ashkenazi Jew. In fact, they told you their numbers sprang up during World War II to 92%. You don't recover from 92% lineage takeover. You just sort of blend in at that state. So all Jews today are Ashkenazi Jews. Well, who are the Ashkenazi Jews? Well, if you take a look at 23andMe, they will tell you Ashkenazi Jews are descendant of Ashkenaz in the Hebrew Bible. It's also listed on many other websites, but you can just simply go there.
Okay, pause. Some of the stuff he's saying. Here's the thing. Esau is today, can be described as the Jewish Caucasian, which are converts. You have German Caucasians, Dutch, French, Spanish Caucasians. There's Australian Caucasians. Edomites are the line of the Caucasian people. So Esau is, the Jewish man is from the line of Esau. They are actually Shemitic. However, so aren't, like Mikhail mentioned, many, not all the world it can be anti-Shemitic, because the line of Japheth and the line of Ham. Just to show you that Esau is telling on these Jewish people, because a lot of people in the United States and throughout the world are hip to their lies, and you can't use it anymore. When the masses start to uncover the lies, it becomes ineffective. So keep this in mind. Number three. And if you can, pull that map of the Persian Gulf one more time. So, okay, we look at the Persian Gulf. Remember this. You have, on one side of Iran, you have the United Arab Emirates and Oman. Back out a little bit so I can see the whole Saudi Arabia. There we go. Perfect right there. So, again, I want you to all remember Yemen. Yemen is the bottom left of the boot of the Arabian Peninsula. This will be very, very important going forward to remember this. Remember, because the Yemenis are not on the Saudi side, not on the U.S. or Israel side. They're actually on the side of Iran. Get number 4, not 3, number 4. Number 4. Stop. This is important. I have to introduce it. So, black man Montel Williams had a show in the late 80s, early 90s. Used to watch it. He had a show about the Holocaust about 36 years ago. And on that show, there was a Jewish filmmaker and historian. I repeat, a Jewish filmmaker. And even this Jewish filmmaker had to be careful the way he talked, because the narrative of 6 million Jewish people, many professional historians and people that have actually looked into primary sources have determined that number is significantly less. Play.
If I could make a point, now she said the fact that 6 million Jews died. However, in 1988, the site at Auschwitz, where people can go and tour the gas chambers, they lowered their figure from 4 million dead to 1 million dead.
Stop. So here's the thing. They say 6 million, which is something that was published in the newspapers. When in actuality, if you go, tech team, look up the let's rewind it a little bit, because I don't want us to think we're just saying stuff. Rewind it again, and then there's a word, Auschwitz Holocaust Museum. I want you to scroll back, and I want us to look that up. We're gonna get that word, Google it in the back, and we'll let the video play it, and we can give you some time to get it. All right, please.
If I could make a point, now she said the fact that 6 million Jews died. However, in 1988, the site at Auschwitz, where people can go and tour the gas chambers, they lowered their figure from 4 million dead to 1 million dead. So that was 3 million taken out of the equation overnight.
So pause.
Where did these 3 million
again,
go?
Pause. It started at 6 million. It started at 6 million. The Auschwitz Museum said 4 million. So it went from 6 to 4 that was reported, and it's down to 1. People will believe a lie if they keep hearing it over and over again. Now, this is a Jewish filmmaker. So a Jewish filmmaker that wants to represent his history accurately. Okay? He has some sort of integrity with what happened to his Jewish ancestors. Play on.
Overnight. Where did these 3 million go? Were they never there in the first place? Were they in the camps, and did they survive? And if you can lose 3 million people overnight, who's to say that 1 million remaining figure is not also wrong?
And let me ask you this question. Weren't some of these figures ascertained after the fact, because they went back and did censuses after?
The source of the famous 6 million figure is an affidavit by by somebody who was brought in at the Nuremberg trial in 1945-46. Even Raoul Hilberg, who's considered one of the major figures in the Holocaust, Holocaust historian, is professor at the University of Vermont. He concedes himself that the 6 million figure is based upon crude calculations. It is only highly dubious, and he says we must re-examine this whole question of the 6 million. Look, it's very interesting, Montel. People have heard over and over about 6 million Jews dying in Europe during the Second World War. How many people in this audience know how many Germans died during the Second World War? How many Americans died during the Second World War? How many Chinese died during the Second World War? In America, as time goes by, the more time passes, the more there's emphasis on the fate of one particular people during the Second World War, almost to the exclusion of everyone else. How many...
Pause. And that's very important, because there were more Russian soldiers that died. Many more total white Europeans that were not Jewish, so-called Jewish. They were all the race of Esau, that they only talk about. So we have a Jewish filmmaker. Now, do you have that? Yes. This is important, because why would Jewish people want to undervalue their history? If it was 6 million, don't you think they would want to defend it? There are many Jewish people that are sick of people lying on them. Now, again, there are converts, and they can believe what they want to believe. We are the 12 tribes of Israel. We're going to believe the Bible. Now, watch what this says. Read that.
the Auschwitz-Birkenau Memorial Museum located in Auschwitz, Poland. It preserved the site of the former Nazi concentration and extermination camps where over 1.1 million people were murdered.
So why isn't AI citing 6 million? So it says 1.1 million. The Jewish filmmaker was like, wait a minute. If they're saying 1 million, how did they go from 4 to 1, 6 to 4 to 1? And he even questions that 1.1. And in comparison, let's just say it was 1.1, right? And in comparison to the many millions and millions and millions and millions of other white nations like Russia, like Germany, like the UK, like the United States, had other many people, and they never talk about that. So he, as a Jewish, he said, wait, this is not making sense. So don't believe the narrative. Scroll down.
Stop being a damn fool.
So y'all check that out on your own. This is very important. This is a misinformation that's going out.
Hey, Cap, you know what they never talk about, though?
What's that?
While they inflate those numbers, they don't talk about the 2,000 so-called Afro-Germans, the real Jews that were murdered in those same concentration camps. And they say that 2,000 is a undercount. So it could be way more than that they never talk about, though.
Right. And also, to your point, there's different sources we're going to show you tonight that believe that there's over 180,000, one statistic shows, or 200,000 of Palestinians who have died. So, and this is just in this war now. And this is why a lot of Jewish people are upset, because let's just give them 1 million. 1 million of their people were killed by other white folks. And now they're doing worse, and they're doing it to Arabs who have done nothing to them but try to coexist with them, if you will. Get me number 3. Now we're going to go to number 3. Number 3. So while we're comfortable in the United States thinking everything is IRE, what you're going to find is there's more infiltration within local, state, and federal government with the Israelis. Listen to the influence. This is a CIA, John Kirakou, and he's a former CIA analyst. This lady she's very outspoken. I forget her name. Play on.
One thing that most mainstream outlets don't talk about is that the Israelis are already in the United States training local police departments. We know, for example, that the Israelis are training the Atlanta police, that this area now called Cop City is the site of Israeli police and Israeli IDF training our own police. I don't want the Israelis training American police departments. The Israelis have no respect for human rights or civil rights or civil liberty.
Right. So is that it? It was cut short, or that was it? Understand that the Israeli government is more and more involved in the U.S. government than many really understand. Now, go to, you know what? Before I forget, go to, no, I don't want to do that yet. All right, go to 5, Trump. U.S. narrative. This is the U.S. narrative. Listen to this.
Do you anticipate that the strikes we're seeing this week against Iran will expand? Are you considering hitting energy targets or other locations inside of Iran?
I'll save the energy targets for last, but ultimately we'll hit energy targets, yeah. But we're going to hit them very hard tonight. We're going to hit them very hard tomorrow night. We're going to hit them very hard the night after. And then next week it gets really bad for them, because next week comes the power plants. Next week comes the bridges. We're going to knock out all their power plants. We're going to knock out all their bridges unless they get to the...
Hey, any of y'all want to comment on that? Because this, let me just say this and open this up to y'all. You realize, right? Can you imagine if the Iranian government or any other government were to bomb one U.S. bridge, just one. Imagine if they were to bomb the Twin Span, which goes to New Orleans, or let's say the George Washington Bridge that goes from New York over, I believe, was it to Jersey, or if it was to bomb the Golden Gate Bridge out there in the West Coast. It would be a declaration of war, and it would be an immediate response. The level they're talking about bombing their bridges of their country, stopping the flow of traffic and get to people's jobs, transportation of goods and services. And then they're talking about bombing their power plants. This is a country of 90 million people. Iran is the size of Western Europe. Look at the size. It's a huge country. And this is the most powerful, alleged most powerful man in the world talking about doing this to a country that is it is amazing. It's amazing. Okay.
Yeah, Cap, to your point, he's not bombing soldiers. He's bombing places where people are employed. So he's not attacking war fighters. Like when you look at movies like We Were Soldiers, The Patriot, where they fought like conventional war, like they would stand an army right there, stand an army right here, and they would fight it out and see which army will win. They're just firing rounds into a country and just hitting whatever. It could be a mother with children transporting their kids to go to school or coming back from a grocery run, and the bridge gets bombed. So they're not fighting other soldiers. They just bombing pretty much people that are going about their normal day-to-day lives.
Or like when they bombed the schools full of little girls. Yeah, it's crazy. And then for him to sit there and I've never seen a sitting president actually give out, yeah, this is what we're going to do. This is what we're going to attack. Like, who does that? Isn't that some kind of breach of security? Like, it's crazy in itself.
Hey, tech team, I just put tonight's content. I forgot to include. This is the thing called the Hannibal Directive. And this was, you keep hearing over and over again, October 7th, October 7th, October 7th. This is McGregor, Colonel McGregor, Army analyst, was on the Trump cabinet first time around. It is a short video. Judge McGregor on Judge. It's no time stamp. Just let it play. 2 minutes, I think. Listen to what the Hannibal Directive is. Check this out. Okay, you need a little bit more time. Oh, there you go. There you go.
Over the weekend, Haaretz reported using as sources officials in the IDF as well as official IDF and Netanyahu government documents that there's no question but that the Hannibal Directive was ordered on October 7th, and it now appears that more than half the 1,200 Israelis who died on that day were murdered by the IDF. Civilians.
Pause. Rewind it from the very beginning. I want you to understand something, that there's a lot of Jewish people. I remember before October 7th happened, the Israeli government was almost at the brink of a civil war, and the public was having protests against Benjamin Netanyahu. They wanted him out of office. So now watch this. Listen to what it says closely, because he didn't stutter. He says something that even if the Jewish people that live there are against the government, what do you think they have to fear? Listen to what he says.
The weekend, Haaretz reported using as sources officials in the IDF as well as official IDF and Netanyahu government documents that there's no question but that the Hannibal Directive was ordered on October 7th, and it now appears that more than half the 1,200 Israelis who died on that day were murdered by the IDF, civilians and military. My point is that piece that came out in Haaretz was provoked by sources within IDF. Question, is IDF exhausted? Is it sick and tired of Netanyahu? Does it recognize that Hamas cannot be beaten? Is the last thing in the world it wants to do to go after Hezbollah?
Yeah, my impression is that the Israeli soldiers
are still convinced that they need to finish the job in Gaza and exterminate whatever remains. I mean, there's really that kind of mentality among Israeli soldiers. That's been made clear to me. Now, when you move to higher levels and you're talking about the professional military leadership of the Israeli Defense Force, I think they have serious concerns. But just as we have been
real quick. That same IDF, I don't know if our people have put two to two together what Cap's bringing out. Didn't it just say that they training people down and they training the police?
Yes. Training the police in Atlanta.
And they said, look, we got to wipe them all out. They going to bring the same mentality to the police force over here in good old U.S. of A.
I would not be surprised if they are also training ICE, because as you can see, ICE has the same mentality.
Yes. So we got to be mindful. Why? Because if they're going to do this to the Palestinians, that the Israeli government militarily is going to merge or be somewhat merged with the U.S. government and the defense budget and things of that nature. Once they accomplish their objectives overseas, now you have to deal with the domestic terrorist who is labeled based upon. Remember, there was a Karen Bass, who was, I believe, a U.S. Senator or Congresswoman. She said, how could you have a black extreme identity extremist? And she had the Edomite stuttering. I think it was the head of the FBI, head of counter something. But that's what they're going to do. They're going to try to create labels under the guise of anti-Semitism and hate laws to try to lock up people that teach anything to do with them being not the real Jews of the Bible. And that's where we're headed to. But I believe the Lord's going to speed everything up. I also believe the Lord's going to give us mercy for a certain amount of time before that happens. I'm going to show you what they're doing. Give me the next clip. I just sent it, the same clip, same judge. And it talks about, it says, war for Arab Palestine. Yes, so this is important because he said in the last clip, this is the same interview, but he said in the last clip, he said, look, he said, the IDF, are they getting soft? In other words, do they want Benjamin Netanyahu out? But then he also said, but there's a consensus among the Israeli troops. They want to kill everything in Gaza. Well, here's some proof of that mindset. We first started the show, we would talk about 10,000, 20,000, and then it was 70,000 dead. The number is going up even more. And this is why you know that all of this is the worst genocide in modern history. All of these governmental officials from the IDF and the U.S. government that took part, they all should be in international court of law, tried by their peers, and the punishment should either be death, imprisonment of life for life, and other immense punishments, and nothing is happening at all. That's why you know that Esau runs the entire earth and does not allow an international court to hold him accountable. Listen to this.
To demonstrate war crimes. Colonel, the most reputable medical journal in the world, The Lancet, has reported that the likely deaths in Gaza, when everybody is counted, will be 186,000 dead. Professor Mearsheimer, using his sources, says it'll be closer to 250,000. The Lancet figure is 8% of the population. The Mearsheimer figure is about 10% of the population. Is this enough to demonstrate war crimes?
Oh, I don't think there's any question about that anymore. The Israelis continue to bombard Gaza every night, and you ask yourself, where are the targets? What are they hitting? I mean, there's
Also, Micah just brought that up. He just brought it up. They're unarmed civilians is what's going on, and the reason why the kill rate is so high is because if you have children and women and men that are just they're not even trying to leave to go to other countries. They're trying to stay. They're building tent cities. They have these water bladders that go down the street where they have these, it looks like cow udders that they can get water from. They go collect cardboard and wood to burn fires because sometimes it can get chilly at night in the desert, even when it's warm during the day. And And they're doing that just to survive. They want to stay on that land. And so because of that, they've already destroyed like 95%, probably arguably almost all the infrastructure, meaning buildings and things like that in Gaza. So what else is there left to hit? They're hitting civilian targets who, for the most part, are defenseless. It's this, in conjunction with what they're doing in Lebanon, what they're doing in Iran, is going to unite all of these Arabs together as one. Go up to number. I'm sorry. Say something real quick. Hey,
remember Netanyahu called those in Palestine, he called them Amalek because he wants the world to believe what they're doing is biblical. And Amalek's supposed to be wiped out. So that's what they're actually trying to do, is exterminate the whole coast. Because again, remember, they say from the river to the sea. They think all that belongs to them. So they're trying to wipe all that out. They want to flatten everything. That's why they're still bombing the Gaza Strip and Palestine. You got something else?
Okay, look. Go to number 6, Scott Ritter and George Galloway. George Galloway is one of my new favorite guys. George Galloway, keep in mind, he was writing things in his post and is on his talk show saying things against the Israeli government, and he resides in the United Kingdom. So they literally barred him from entering his own country. So he moved, I think he's temporarily moved to Russia, if I'm not mistaken. And this is Edomite. He's got a very strong Scottish or I think Irish or Scottish accent. And this guy is interviewing Scott Ritter about what's going on. Marine Corps counterintelligence officer. He was the chief weapons inspector during Iraq. And by his own admission, they did not find any weapons of mass destruction. So he's been around in the meetings and the boards and sat in the panels. He knows he's got credibility. So when he speaks, people listen. So this is Galloway interviewing Scott Ritter about the current situation. Play.
But, now we have to reflect on the method behind the madness here, because we're seeing a pattern emerge. George, everything that you just articulated, a rational human being would say, given an option, given a range of options, the worst possible choice would be the one that President Trump has made repeatedly. He has never made a good choice. He's made a bad choice every single time. We can talk about, for instance, his decision to authorize Saudi Arabia to bomb Yemen. Literally, this is the worst choice imaginable, because now it has opened up the reality of a resumption of Yemeni-Saudi conflict.
Pause, and this is going to come up a little bit later. Remember, pull up the map of the Persian Gulf again. This is very important because Saudi Arabia, so Donald Trump they allowed the Saudis to hit a Yemeni's airport, a civilian airport. I want you to scroll down. Remember, we're talking about Yemen. There we go. So Saudi is directly north of Yemen. This Mossad is allowing Trump to do stupid things under the puppet arm of the Israeli government, Netanyahu, the least of the flock. And what he doesn't understand is, if you try to start a war with Yemen, they can control that strait. So now, all you getting your oil, if you can't go out through the Gulf of Oman, through the Strait of Hormuz, how do you get your product? Well, all the shores, you're not going to go to Oman. So you have to then what? You're going to go up out the Red Sea to the Mediterranean Sea to go all the way around the bottom of Africa or anywhere else you want to go, unless they're going to sell almost all their oil to Europe, because that would make sense. But even so, remember this. The Suez Canal is controlled by an Arab nation called the Egyptians. The Arabs of North Egypt, okay, they're not black men that control that. Arabs control that up there, the Suez Canal. So this is why it's going to happen. The Saudis eventually are going to stand with their brother, the other Arabs. And these choke points, God designed this perfectly. Strait of Hormuz, the Strait of Bab el-Mandeb, whatever it is, and you've got the Suez Canal, all controlled by Arabs or Carmanians, aka ancient Persians. Keep that in mind. Keep that in mind. Go back to Scott Ritter.
Conflict that will spill over into the Bab el-Mandeb Strait, causing the closure of this strait at a time when Saudi Arabia has redirected 70% of its oil production through the Bab el-Mandeb Strait.
Paul, did you hear that? And I didn't even watch the whole timestamp. It said Saudi's oil, 70% of the oil is going through that strait. Put the map back up. Yeah, you got to understand. You got to understand. If look at the size of, give me a better map of Saudi Arabia. Give me a better map of the Persian Gulf. I want to see, yeah, that's it right there. Leave it right there. So Iran and Saudi Arabia arguably are almost the same size. Possibly Saudi might be a little bit bigger, right? Both huge countries, right? If you have one coastline where many of your oil comes from, the Persian Gulf area, you're blocked out through the Strait of Hormuz, right? So you have a huge coastline. Most of your coastline is on the Red Sea. You're not going through Oman. And now Yemen, the one country that Donald Trump orders you to allow you to bomb the airport. Now the Houthis that are in that area, guess what they're going to do? They're going to control that strait. And guess what also can happen? Iran, circle Iran, which is in like the gray area, they have missiles, both ballistic and also hypersonic missiles that can touch anybody that goes in the Red Sea. They can shoot over Saudi Arabia and bomb targets in the Red Sea. So keep in mind, what are the Arab countries here? There's Arabs in Egypt. There's Arabs in Jordan, Arabs in Lebanon, Arabs in the Palestinian area. There's Saudi Arabia, Arabs, Yemen, Arabs, Oman, Arabs, United Arabs, Qatar, Arabs, Bahrain, Arabs, Kuwait, Arabs, Iraqi Arabs, Syria, Arabs, Iran, Carmanians, Turkey, the Kurds, but check this out. All of that area predominantly is Islam. And last week we covered that Miss Mikhail put in the background. Put the thumbnail up again. Mikhail was thinking when he did the thumbnail, because in the background off to the upper right, near the Precept Upon Precept logo, you can see that is the guy that has brought all of the Islamic community together, Shiites and Sunnis, irregardless of the race. They all are going to unite under Iran standing up and the death. Because remember, this guy we covered 2 weeks ago, he spoke fluid Arabic. Fluid, 5 languages, understood Arab poetry and philosophy, I believe. Now, go back to Scott Ritter. Keep this in mind. If Saudi Arabia cannot go through that strait of Baal, Abid, whatever it is, if they can't go through that strait, where is it going to get its export money from?
Cap,
Bring it out.
I was just thinking too. You remember we talked about the reserves that the U.S. is depleting right now. You're not going to see, ain't too many people lining up to get on a ship to transport oil out when they know it's a high probability you're going to get bombed. That stuff's flammable. And now you telling Saudi Arabia that they can hit Yemen. Okay, so where the U.S. going to get their oil from? If the president is telling, hey, Saudi, yeah, go ahead and bomb Yemen. Now you getting all the ports closed. Where is the oil coming from when you already starting to deplete your reserves here in America?
Guess what also could happen? Scroll back to that map that you have with the nice boundary maps of the. Check this out. I'm gonna make a prediction. Why do you never hear anything about the Egyptians? The Egyptians are Arab. You never hear anything about the Egyptians. Well, I would venture to say that they would be on the side of the winning force of that region. Because guess what? Let's say, like Officer Micah said, if they shut down the Strait of Baal, right, and then Hormuz is shut down, if the Arabs own the Suez Canal, even if they don't cooperate, all it takes is one well-placed hypersonic missile from Iran, and you stop and you block the Suez Canal. Now how does Saudi Arabia get its oil out? Everything's got to be through train, right? Well, you know how hard it is to move a large quantity of oil through train? So and you ain't flying it. It's way, 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 way too much fuel. It's more fuel to fly the plane with the friggin' thing. Keep in mind, all of this is happening. And the reason why we keep going back to this is because Iran is the hero of the Middle East right now. And all of these Arabs are going to stand together. I don't know when, but they're going to stand together. Now, we're going to go to break soon. All right. Keep this in mind. Let's finish 6 and then we'll go on break. Yes, sir.
President who said he had to sign the MOU because he was running out of oil. He had no choice but to do this, acknowledging defeat, in effect. We have J.D. Vance acknowledging that the MOU was always a charade, simply to buy time to get more oil. So we're getting a clue as to what's going on with this president. He is creating chaos deliberately. He is literally going to, because the reality is the United States today, as you rightly pointed out, we want to be the global hegemon, but we're incapable of being the global hegemon. We lack the resources to actually govern and rule and direct using normative standards, where the person calling the shots is the person who can best influence the situation. The United States has lost the ability to directly influence rational unfolding situations. What we can do and what we are doing is managing chaos. And so Donald Trump's job right now is to engender as much chaos in the world. Everything he talked about, there's no chance. You know this, George. There's a snowball's chance in hell of the Kurds putting together a force capable of invading Iran, let alone overthrowing the regime. What will happen, though, is that by attempting to do so, articulating this, there will be further chaos, not just with Iran, but in Iraq, spilling over into Syria, spilling over into Turkey. And this is what Donald Trump wants. He cannot, on his own volition, with the resources available to him, dictate outcomes. What he can do is mandate chaos and then seek to control chaos. It's much easier to control chaos than it is to impose order. And this is what this narcissistic madman has done, because the only way he can continue to be a force of relevance in the world is to make the world dysfunctional so that, he can then be seen as pulling strings that don't matter.
Get me Exodus chapter 8. And the same thing that Donald Trump is a modern day Pharaoh. The same way that during the time of ancient Egypt, after, you got to imagine, all of Pharaoh's advisors that survived the different plagues, Egyptians had councils, right? He would bring magicians up and people would talk to him. He had entertainers and court jesters and all that come up to him. So what made Pharaoh make such blatantly irrational, incomprehensible decisions to the point where he was willing to destroy his entire army off after seeing the miracles that God made with all the things that happened? And this is the same thing that Donald Trump is having happen to him. Read that.
The book of Exodus chapter 8 and verse 1. And the Lord spake unto Moses, Go unto Pharaoh and say unto him, Thus saith the Lord, let my people go, that they may serve me.
Right. Now jump to verse 14.
Verse 14.
No, I'm sorry. 15.
Verse 15. But when Pharaoh saw that there was respite, he hardened his heart and hearkened not unto them, as the Lord had said.
Right. Read on.
And the Lord said unto Moses, Say unto Aaron, Stretch out thy rod and smite the dust of the land, that it may become lice throughout the land of Egypt.
Go to verse 19. Watch this.
Verse 19. Then the magician said unto Pharaoh, This is the finger of God.
The magicians actually did some pretty amazing things when you think they did some pretty cool stuff. The magicians are counseling Pharaoh. Pharaoh, we got some skills, but this is the finger of God. He's warning the Pharaoh. And even after all the plagues, this one was what? Lice? What was it? Lice, right? That's serious. Yeah. And even after all that, He still hardened his heart despite counsel. What we're showing you is that Donald Trump, there are people like J.D. Vance is like, this guy's going too far. That's what, I don't know if y'all saw, J.D. Vance went on the Joe Rogan show. I don't know if y'all saw that, right? Pull up a clip of J.D. Vance on Joe Rogan, if you can. We come back to it in a minute. We'll come back to it in a minute. The point is this, is that Donald Trump, God is hardening Donald Trump's heart despite people around him that are like, you're going too far. And the reason why is because in order for the least of the flock to draw the U.S. out, so that according to Isaiah 14, everybody will say, is this the man? They have to make enemies and cause confusion everywhere. How do you unite all the regions of the Arabs together as one? The Egyptians, Arabs are going to come. Give me 2nd Ezra. I bring it out every show. 2nd Ezra chapter 15. Let's really analyze this verse. What would make every Arab that has their own property boundaries, they have their own princes, their own excellent riches and gold toilets and all these different things, what would make them decide, you know what, forget all this money. I can't do an Arab accent. We're going to come together. All of them are going to come together. Read that, 15.
The book of 2nd Ezra, chapter 15 and verse 28.
You see, there's such an evil that's going to happen. We showed you that John Mearshar, Professor Mearshar, said it was over almost 250,000 Palestinian Arabs, whereas the other institute, which is the most credible institute, the Lang Institute, I think it was, said 186,000 Palestinians and counting have died. Not died, dead died. And not to mention all the other maimed and serious injuries. So keep that in mind. And they're not even close to being done yet. Play.
Come on. Behold, in horrible vision and the appearance thereof from the east.
Horrible vision from the east. Read on.
Where the nations of the dragons of Arabia.
Why? Because the sons of Ishmael, the dragons of Arabia, would be, put the map back up. We're going to keep going over it again and again. Put the map back up. Let's look at the nations of the dragons of Arabia right now. 1, Iraq. 2, Syria. 3, Jordan. Israel, Palestine in the West Bank. Lebanon to the north. All in North Egypt, which includes, that's all the power. The power is the Suez Canal and all that, where the Nile Delta is. That's where the power is. The poor people in the Sudanese, down closer to the South Sudan, they're destitute. You got the huge Arab country, Saudi Arabia. You've got Yemen, Oman, United Arab Emirates, Qatar, Bahrain, Kuwait, and I think that's pretty much it for that region. Not to mention the Carmanians that are going to be the inspiration for them. All of them is coming out. Read it again.
Verse 29. Where the nations of the dragons of Arabia shall come out with many chariots. And
so if here's the point. Does that mean that in this last day they're going to have horses with chariots like they did back in the ancient Egypt? Is that what they're talking about? No. A chariot is a vessel or a vehicle. They're going to be together as one. They're going to have a logistical plan together. They're not, you're going to see, but you think they're going to beat the white man with horses and a chariot and a spear? That's not going to happen. They're going to unite as one mind, all these Arabs together. Arabs got rockets. Arabs got missiles. They're going to put together a force. Read on.
And the multitude of them shall be carried as the wind upon earth.
How does the wind upon earth move? You're not stopping it. Read on.
That all they which hear them.
So think about it. If it's a calm wind, this wind does this. All they what?
All they that hear them.
All they that hear them, the nations of the dragons of Arabia, read on.
May fear and tremble.
That means that wind that's coming is nothing to play with. It's going to be a military force. Understand what's going to make that? The same way they do in Palestine. They're going to kill even more and more Arabs in Lebanon. They're going to kill them in Iraq. They're going to kill them all. They already set them up. They caught Mossad agents in Saudi Arabia. We read that earlier. What is Mossad if Saudi Arabia is Israel's allies? Why are Mossad agents in Saudi Arabia got caught trying to blow up and cause harm to Saudi Arabian infrastructure? Why? Again, it's in his heart. It's in the Israelis' heart. You know what? I'll tell you what, Akim, because it's almost 11. Let's stop that. We'll come back to the second timestamp after break. We finished the first one yet? All right. Y'all stick around. Hey, donate to the Booster Club right here real quick. We'll be back after this. Text GIV 646-982-3858 or hit the PayPal button. All praise to the Most High. Share this link, y'all. We got another 45 minutes to go. We come back. Shalom.
Hey, Shalom Israel. Most High Christ bless. Why do you subscribe? IUIC New Orleans, subscribe. Go to our YouTube page. Help us to grow. Comment, like, share. What's going on? Make it happen.
Everybody better turn up. See the man, I'm gonna put my cellular. Tell them I just hold on. So bright you can hide up. So bright you like that, just kind of.
Yes, sir. We love it, man.
Black women only choose men based upon what's in their pocket.
You are what they call scumper. Wealthy scumper.
Now, nobody wants to put up with a black woman because she has a big mouth like you.
The kingdom is ours if we walk in his line. Repent and keep the commandments today. Our true essence lives in the ancient way.
You got to ask yourself, what does the Lord require of me as an Israelite?
From every town, not America's ways, but the Holy One's plan. Israel, stand up. It's our time to stand.
I am a son of a God. I am a son of a God. I am a son of a God.
Stripped our culture from us, our heritage, the thing that made us above all nations, the thing that gave us respect among the people. We love it.
We were slaves July 4th, 1776. So why are we sitting up here? Why are not we boycotting the 4th of July?
That's a good
Why are we
point.
still enriching our enemy?
You're going to find out what the truth is today. Are you ready? Ready.
What time is it? What time is it? What time is it? We are.
One, two. Welcome back, y'all. Welcome back to another edition, second half of the show, Precept Upon Precept. War. What is it good for? Absolutely something. little play on words. Welcome to the show. Let's go to the second timestamp with Scott Ritter, George Galloway, who is being oppressed by his own British government for speaking in defense of the Palestinian genocide.
Now, this is somewhat speculative, but I can say this with the confidence of knowing that 39 days of aerial bombardment of Iran didn't accomplish anything meaningful. Iran has fully recovered, and now we're coming in and we're trying to repeat the same scenario over again. Einstein said the definition of insanity is seeking to do the same thing over and over again, expecting a different result. We're insane trying to do this. Now we're going to move to, energy production, meaning the power plants. Does Donald Trump not understand that Iran will respond by taking
pause real quick. I want you to remember he says Donald Trump first started with infrastructure, military assets. Now he's talking about energy, actually bridges, engineering, infrastructure, bridges, tunnels and things like that. And then the next thing he talked about is actual energy infrastructure, aka power plants. Without power, particularly in the hot months, people can die. You need power. You need electricity to run a country. Now, listen real carefully, because later on, we're going to show you if that happens, what the Yemenis and Iran are going to work together to do. We mentioned it earlier. Play on.
Plants of our regional allies. What happens right now, the temperatures are through the roof in Dubai, Abu Dhabi, in Kuwait City, and Manama, and elsewhere. What happens when they lose the ability to produce the power that gives them the air conditioning? What happens if they take out desalinization plants? You've basically made these major cities unlivable.
Pause. I want you to look up, tech team, and then you can, whenever you get it, that's fine. Look up a desalinization plant, because Professor Shi came on and he compared, I used a map of topography. And he showed you how Iran has huge mountain ranges, lush green, lavish rivers, and all of that. And the GCC countries, to include Kuwait, Iraq. Pull up the map real quick. The countries that are aligned with the United States of America, which are Saudi, United Arab Emirates, Qatar, Kuwait, Iraq, those countries, and Jordan, those countries are predominantly desert. When you look at Iran, you can't see it in the map now. Iran is the opposite of that, okay? Professor Shi said that, and he predicted this last year, that if all Iran has to do to shut those countries down from being in existence is to knock out the desalination plants. That will be the first step. So let's pull up desalinization plants, and we're going to see how easy this would be to hit with a low-level missile. Check this out.
A desalinization plant is an industrial facility that removes salt and mineral particles from saline water, such as seawater or brackish groundwater, to produce fresh, drinkable water.
These facilities serve as a critical infrastructure in arid, drought-prone coastal communities. That's where most of the population lives, in arid, desert, drought-prone coastal communities. Pull the map back up real quick. You got to see this. If you don't have fresh water that you can drink and not brackish or salt water, you do not have a society. Furthermore, much of the food that is brought in is imported into the GCC countries. Iran is a self-producer. This is why the Persian Empire lasted so many centuries. Understand that. It is like a fortress now. So keep that in mind, what Scott Ritter said about the desalinization plants, which are found throughout all those arid parts. We may see this bombardment of desalinization. When that happens, what do you think the people of those countries, forget about the rich trillionaires and billionaires, what about the people that depend on their clean, potable, and drinkable water from these plants? How do you survive? Maybe you get a couple of weeks without it, right? After a month, what do you do? Play.
that's just the beginning, because if we then escalate to take out Iranian power production, oil and gas production, Iran will respond by totally decapitating the energy production capacity of the Gulf Arab states. And people need to understand that this is an extraordinarily dangerous thing. You know, the world needs the energy coming out of the Middle East. It's 25% of the world's energy. Now, people say, well, there's 75% out there, but the world doesn't work in terms of 75%. The world functions as a 100% calculation. And if you start disrupting oil, it doesn't just mean that higher gases. It's not just about gasoline and diesel. This is about producing fertilizer. Fertilizer that's used to feed the world. The sulfur that comes from, sour oil. The ammonia that comes from the processing of oil. These are used to create fertilizers that much of the developing world must have to make crops viable. We've already disrupted. There's going to be a global impact that will affect millions of people because of Donald Trump's decisions. And now he's getting ready.
You heard what he said? There's going to be a global disruption that will affect millions of people. Again, it goes back to Pharaoh. His heart was hardened like Pharaoh's. His heart is hardened where he's making decisions. God is allowing his heart to be hardened to fulfill prophecy, because how could you have a country as small as Israel with a evil, corrupt, genocidal, maniac regime that's killing almost 200,000 Palestinian Arabs, majority women and children, and men who are non-militants? Think about that. You get away with that. And then you go for even more to disrupt. Then you disrupt Malaysia's economy, China's economy, Japan's economy, who's your ally. Isn't it amazing? How would Japan, give me Isaiah 14. Japan is the U.S.'s ally, right? There's other countries that are the U.S.'s ally. What is going to make all nations say this about the U.S.? The U.S. is going to do so much evil under the puppet backing of the Israeli government, the least of the flock.
Come on,
play that. I mean,
the book of Isaiah, chapter 14 and verse 16.
Listen, this, because you gotta. Let's imagine what if Isaiah is writing this. He's talking about Babylon the Great, the Golden City, right? What would make these countries that once saw them as the top of the top say this about them?
They which see thee shall narrowly look upon thee and consider thee, saying, is this the man that made the earth to tremble and did shake kingdoms?
The United States of America is very, very closely allied with Japan. They shook Japan to the core in 1945 when they decimated tens and tens and tens of thousands and injured and maimed and permanently destroyed a whole civilization with their firebombs and their atomic bombs. And now Japan has conformed to them. What is going to make these countries like the Philippines, like Hawaii, Hawaii's 51st state, but all these peoples that had to be forced to look at them as, well, that's the United States, you can't do anything about them. And to say, because they're going to disrupt the global economy to even their allies, hence the term NATO, hence the horns are going to hate the whore. All of that you see right now, from Biden in allowing the Nord Stream pipeline to blow up and the economy of Europe to go crashing down. They had cheap sources of oil and natural gas from Russia cut off, all because of the United States. So keep in mind, there's going to be events that happen. They're going to make every nation, even the allies, are going to be like, this man is the devil, and he's going to go down. Go back to that.
Again, this will affect hundreds of millions of people. And we're talking about the potential of tens of millions of deaths. And if we go through another cycle, it becomes literally exponential, meaning that, the damage done, we haven't recovered, and the damage, it takes less to do more damage going down. There is the chance, if we get a total disruption of Middle East energy for a period of time that falls into the fall of this year, that tens of billions of people are going to die.
He cleans it up. He meant tens of millions. There's only 7 billion people in the world, but he's saying tens of millions of people could die. Let's put that in perspective. Tens of millions of people could be 80 million people. Because of the policy of him targeting Iran, which is a sovereign nation, targeting their energy infrastructure, their bridges. They will take out desalination plants and take out oil refineries in Yemen. In Saudi, in Kuwait, in all these places like Qatar, that all puppet regimes set up by the U.S. that could disrupt 25% of the world's oil, which will devastate the world economy. He's saying it could kill tens of millions. If you killed tens of millions of people because of your policy, everybody is going to turn on you. And we're seeing that right now. Watch what's going to happen. Keep your eyes glued to this, not CNN. Watch what's going on. Watch secondary sources. Look at German news. Look at Australian news. Look at other sources. Don't just look at stupid things that they show you on a regular Edomite US TV, okay, or news sources. Play.
Hunger, etc., because there will be no food for them. This is what Donald Trump is doing. This is the insanity of the moment that people need to pick up on. And the world needs to start shouting, because if Europe's sitting there being deaf, dumb, and blind to the crimes being committed by the United States, what happens, George, when Africa goes under? When the Sahel, when West Africa loses the capacity to produce food, and tens of millions, hundreds of millions of people start a compelled migration.
Pause. Listen to this. If they can't, listen, there's parts of Africa that have very good soil, but there's a lot of parts of Africa, which is a huge nation, and other parts of the world where they're dependent for mass crops for the fertilizers that come out of crude oil production and processing. Let's really think about this. Look, what are we saying right now? Already, when we showed a video, I guess about 4 or 5 months ago, and it showed you a video of France. It was a white dude going in France. And he said, do you think I'm in Angola? He said, no, I'm in France. There is such a large migration already of blacks from Africa, different Hamitic tribes, some of our people that are in European countries, to the point where they're having rallies to say, get them out of my country. If you stop the production of fertilizer, and what do you think people are going to do? There's no food. They're going to go north to Morocco, to Libya, all those countries up there, and they're going to go through boats. Some are going to die, and they're going to infiltrate all these white countries. And I'm going to tell you right now, all the U.S., we're living in a life. We're living in at the very end of the days. And what's going to happen is you start to see these things happen. China and Russia, there's only so much they're going to allow to happen. Watch. Play.
No choice. They're dying. They're starving. There's no food. They will migrate across. They will lose tens of millions in the deserts of the Sahara, but they will arrive at the shores of the Maghreb, of North Africa, and they will surge into Europe, and Europe has no solution for them. Europe will literally be overrun by these desperate refugees that will suck Europe dry. That's the future of Europe, literally the future of Europe, because of Donald Trump. And what happens in the Middle East? Where do the Iranians go when they lose the capacity to produce the food? They can run to Turkmenistan, Pakistan, but Pakistan's got problems. Turkmenistan lacks the capacity. They will move through Turkey into Europe, and Turkey will be giving them the sign. Keep going, keep going, keep going. Europe will be overrun. This is the future of Europe because of the policies of Donald Trump. It's the future of humanity because we have the potential of losing, billions of people. I said tens of billions. I meant tens of millions because there's only 8 billion people in the world today. But the point is, we have the potential of losing billions of people because of this catastrophe that's about to be, and there's no quick recovery. Once this process begins, once the infrastructure of life support deteriorates, it isn't readily constituted. The world will be losing so much of its energy and resources responding to these global catastrophes.
So pause, and this is the point that people don't understand, may not understand. Iran is a country that has a great history, the Persians, right? They have 90 million people. They have culture. They have a heritage that they're trying to preserve. If you're destroying their infrastructure, their bridges, destroying their civic buildings, destroying their power grids, what do you think they're going to do? They're just going to take it laying down, we surrender? No, they're going to take their many thousands and thousands of ballistic and hundreds of hypersonic missiles, and they're going to hurt the people that hurt them. It's called war. Okay? And what's going to happen is when that happens, you're going to see gas. You thought gas prices were high now in America? Don't be surprised if they go back up to $5, $6, $7 a gallon. And in Cali, they're up above $10 a gallon. This is going to affect everybody. It's going on right now. Y'all got to pay attention. This is some serious stuff. Please, somebody say something, please.
To the point, Cap. Imagine you trying to sit in on a chair with 4 legs, right? You take one of those legs off that chair and you try to sit in that chair with 3 legs. It's not going to work out. That's what's essentially happening. You kicking one of the legs off the chair and you're trying to sit in a chair with 3 legs on it.
So to that point, right? You're sitting in the chair with 3 legs. That's if they close one of those straits. Let's say the Strait of Hormuz, right? That's your one leg. But you can't sit in that chair at all if you kick the other leg out, which would be the Strait of El Benab, which would shut down the United Arab Emirates. It would shut down Qatar. It was shut down Bahrain. It was shut down the entire Middle East. Like he said earlier, 25% of the world's oil comes through those 2 straits. And it shuts down all those countries in the Middle East, and it's going to force them to do what? Who are they going to turn on? Who's the cause of this? Donald Trump with all the chaos that he's causing.
See, what our people don't understand is when a food vacuum is created, people are not going to stay where they can't eat. You can go about 3 to 5 days without water, but without food, you can't survive without. Well, you go less time without water. Did I say that right? Yeah. Less, you will die fast if you don't get water.
Yeah.
But when food is not involved, it's not. We're not talking about people that you can go get a cheeseburger right now. When there is no place you can't get any food, people are going to migrate in masses to go find where there's food, and that's going to create vacuums across various continents. That's what he's bringing out.
Right. If there's no natural gas, you can't get that flame broiled burger.
Nope. And no fertilizer, you can't get stuff that comes from the ground.
Right.
So let's show you. There's a video from Al Jazeera number 7. This is, I think tonight marks the 6th. So actually, no, because today is the nighttime for us, but it's almost morning in Iran. But this marks I believe, the 6th consecutive bombings that the U.S. has done across Iran. Here's a video. Okay. This is civilian infrastructure, and not just the south of Iran. It's all over. Again, what do you see? The Iranian flag. So you're trying to tell me they're getting destroyed? Like, you don't see no Cleveland, Miami, New York. Imagine if Iran did that to us, or any country did that to us, right? This is what's happening to a major civilized country of 90 million people. That's the size of all of Western Europe, with, again, the huge population, great culture, great history, and you're destroying them. They're going to put their backs here to be against the wall. They're going to lash out, and they got the big guns. They got the big missiles. Yes, sir.
To your point, the Japanese bombed Pearl Harbor. They bombed a military installation. And the United States response is to destroy, completely wipe out 2 major cities in Japan. The atomic bomb is what their response was. So what do you think the response would be if Iran did this to, let's say, Los Angeles?
Right. And this is the point. The point is that what Scott is talking about is that Donald Trump has people around him that he had people like Joe Kent, who was a former Green Beret, CIA operative, also became a congressman, became a senator, I believe, and then he became the head of the counterintelligence. He wrote a letter resigning saying, Iran is not a threat, Donald Trump. So he had some people that really were trying to do the right thing by the U.S. He didn't listen to them. So the Mossad is allowing people around him to make the wrong decisions to fulfill his will. And that's what we got to understand. So all this, it has to happen. If everything was peace and Iran got along and everybody was world peace, then the Bible wouldn't be a true book. Everything that you see right now, expect this and more and worse to happen. Play.
The US military says it's launched a new wave of strikes against Iran despite a ceasefire agreement signed last month. Washington and Tehran have been attacking each other every day for nearly a week. Central Command says the strikes are aimed at further degrading Tehran's military capabilities. Iranian state media is reporting explosions in the port city of Bandar Abbas and other areas in the south of the country. Washington says earlier strikes were targeted at countering Tehran's ability to threaten ships transiting the Strait of Hormuz. Iran's health ministry says recent attacks have killed at least 40 people and injured more than 300. In response, Iran carried out strikes targeting American assets in the region. Attacks have been reported in Kuwait, Bahrain and Jordan. Qatar has released a statement condemning the attacks and says it considers them a, quote, blatant violation of the sovereignty of these countries and a flagrant breach of international law. Mahmoud Abdul Wahed is following developments from the Iranian capital, Tehran.
The military confrontation between Iran and the United States continues to intensify. The U.S. Central Command has announced that it has launched the fifth consecutive night of airstrikes targeting locations inside Iran to degrade Iran's military capabilities. We understand that the United States has been carrying out multiple airstrikes over the past week, targeting several locations in several provinces across southern, central, and northern Iran.
Real quick. They talk about this like it's just normal. I don't know if you all can actually get into the psychology of this. Once you hear those, I've heard these things go off. I've heard them hit in proximity of where you are. Now you're not thinking about sleeping. You're on alert. You're on watch. You're on guard. Because now you like that's not normal. The ground shakes. Buildings around you, stuff's falling, debris going all over the place, and they just come out of nowhere. It comes out of nowhere. And you just hear a strike, boom. Now you're not sleeping. You're not sleeping. You're concerned. You're alert. Now you got insomnia. You're on edge. Your life becomes different. Play on.
This is part of a plan by the U.S. to degrade Iran's military, naval, and defense capabilities in an attempt to eliminate Iran's control over the Strait of Hormuz. Meanwhile, Iran's state television has just announced explosions near the strategic port of Bandar Abbas in southern Iran. Bandar Abbas port is home to IRGC naval and military assets, which are essential for its control over the Strait of Hormuz. Meanwhile, Iranian officials have been reiterating that the military operations by the U.S. in and around the Strait of Hormuz are undermining the security and safety of passage.
Was a aquatic, I guess it's a boat drone or some sort of unmanned boat that the U.S. is claiming to have launched at one of their ports. So keep this in mind. This is, again, even though he's an Arab individual, or maybe Iranian, I can't really tell. But let's look at number 8, because let's look at what the Iranians are actually doing. Number 8, Instagram video. This is Iran's perspective.
Breaking news, in the last 16 hours, it has been crazy for the U.S. and Israel. I'm going to run you down a list of what's going on. Iran bombed Israel's Teva pharmaceutical factory, the largest generic drug manufacturer on earth, causing chemical leaks, secondary explosions, and the factory burning. They also knocked out an Israeli power plant in the Negev completely offline and carried out 27 strikes on the Negev with 0 visible air defense activations, not one interception. Nothing.
Pause. So while we're hearing about this, they destroyed the largest pharmaceutical. I want you to rewind it again because I want you to understand something. It didn't say the largest pharmaceutical company in Israel. I believe it said the largest pharmaceutical company in the world. Listen to this. So that's a lot of revenue for the Israelis. Play it again. Whole thing.
Breaking news, in the last 16 hours, it has been crazy for the U.S. and Israel. I'm going to run you down a list of what's going on. Iran bombed Israel's Teva pharmaceutical factory, the largest generic drug manufacturer on earth, causing chemical leaks, secondary explosions, and the factory burning. They also knocked out an Israeli power plant in the Negev completely offline and carried out 27 strikes on the Negev with 0 visible air defense activations, not one
So
interception.
they're knocking out the Iron Dome and other air defenses that the Israelis have. This is why Donald Trump is, you have to understand something. If the U.S. didn't step in, the Israelis would cease to exist because they would be bombarded. This is all, again, it's all by God. The least of the flock shall draw them out. We had an MOU, Memorandum of Understanding, we thought was going to be changed. Now it's a full-fledged war. Okay? Play on.
Nothing. Iran struck the Haifa port oil refinery, and stocks collapsed 4% within hours. U.S. bases were hit simultaneously in Kuwait, Bahrain, UAE, and Saudi Arabia. 4 countries in one coordinated attack. Iran announces it will begin bombing the personal homes of U.S. and Israeli military commanders and claims full control of the Strait of Hormuz. 40% of the world's seaborne oil goes through that strait. Yemen has entered the war on Iran's side, and Iraq.
Pause. Now, I want to get to this. So Yemen, why did Yemen enter the war on his side? Go to number. Actually, no. Go to number. Let's look at some Israeli ballistic missiles. Where is the Iron Dome? Play this second Instagram. Pause. That's Israel being hit by ballistic missiles sent from Iran. Okay?
Yeah, that's what I was saying. That's what people don't. They see it on the news, but you don't even hear them come in. It just boom, the ground shakes and explosion. And it's some of our people over there living through that stuff right now.
Look at, and they also got these heads that have cluster heads. It's one munition, and it breaks up into a bunch of clusters. They show one hypersonic hit. You can't even see it. These are regular ballistic missiles, and they're incredibly powerful. Okay? Now, that was a hypersonic. I think, no. I got one with his hypersonic. Go to number, okay. Go to number 10. Number 10, they mentioned about Kuwait getting hit. So they hit the Kuwaiti airport. This is Iran. Why are they hitting Kuwait's airport? Not because they don't like the Arabs in Kuwait, the people. Their leader loved Arab people. It's because of the puppet government and the cooperation with the oppressor, the colonizer of the United States. This is their perspective. Play, watch this. That's Kuwait. So you have to see. I found it. To search for Instagram. You got to search around because they're not. The Israeli controls most of the media, the vast majority. They're not going to show themselves in a vulnerable position, getting hurt by Iran. They don't want to do that. As a matter of fact, they make it illegal for their citizens to share content. That was reported. Now, I don't have enough time, but okay. We're going to close out with these last two. But there's a time step. Get Pepe Escobar. Pepe Escobar, he's an expert on the Middle East, and there's a guy named Glenn Dyson. He's super. This guy on the right is the most boring, square dude in the world. He's horrible, right? But he's got some good guests, and so Escobar is a political analyst. He's going to go into about Yemen entering the war. What happened to make Yemen enter the war? It had something to do with the. Put the thumbnail up real quick, if you would, please. So, quick backstory. Mikhail, who's the guy at the top right? That's the.
The top is the Ayatollah.
So he's the one, the Ayatollah, that died,
Mm-hmm.
and over 10 million people attended his immediate funeral. Over 40 million throughout the country, different cities attending services for that guy there. Now, watch this. The Yemenis could not fly out of the airport. Iran sent a charter to pick up Yemenis passengers to fly back to Iran. So when they went back to drop them and bring Yemenis people back, they bombed the airport right where they were about to land. And because of that, now You're gonna see. Watch. It's gonna. You watch. Watch what's gonna happen. Go ahead and play that.
The most distressing aspect of it all for all of us who are following it is the escalation ladder is back. This is something you and myself and many others were predicting that it would happen. But how far will this go? And extra elements added one day after the other makes the whole thing even more volatile. For instance, we cannot say with 100% certainty that Saudi Arabia attacked Yemen in Sana'a.
So pause. So the thought is, this is what he's saying, is that Trump ordered the Saudis to attack Yemen for violating their they're not supposed to use certain facilities in their own country. What he's saying is, he can't prove it, he wouldn't doubt it if the Israelis attacked Yemen with a false flag, saying it was the Saudis. That's what they also, remember that earlier, the Mossad was caught in Saudi Arabia getting ready to destroy Saudi Arabian oil industry infrastructure. They caught them. So this is the underlying confusion. That's what he's talking about now. Watch what he says. Play on.
This could have been a false flag. This could have been a rogue organization. Anything. And the Saudis have been extremely circumspect about it. But what's immensely interesting is that the Yemenis were waiting for it, essentially. A few days before, when the Mahan airplane was approaching Sana'a International Airport, which, by the way, is...
Do me a favor. Look up Sana'a International Airport in Yemen. Sana'a, I can't spell it. Sana'a International Airport in Yemen. There's only one or two international airports in the whole country. So remember what he said. He said that airport, when the Iranian plane, there it is, was going to land, they bombed a civilian airfield before, but they found out about it in the sky. So let's read that, please.
Sana'a International Airport is the primary, highly contested international aviation facility serving Sana'a, the capital city of Yemen.
Right, that's like them bombing Reagan Airport in D.C. Sana'a is the capital of Yemen. Imagine them bombing Washington, D.C. Okay? The airport serves as a critical strategic hub for the Houthi movement. Those are the Houthis that are going to join the war. Keep that in mind. So why isn't this being talked about? Remember to go back to that Pepe Escobar. We're almost done.
Destroyed by the Israelis last year. It's where I landed when I went to Yemen last year, when the airport was still functioning. And Yemen Airways, they still had 3 planes. These 3 planes were later bombed by the Israelis. They have 0 planes now. So this was Iran breaking the siege imposed
Pause.
on Yemen.
Here's the point. Yemen had no planes. Iran, the siege is, F you, we're going to send our plane to land at Sana'a Airport so we can pick up some Yemenis to do what? To honor the Ayatollah that died. Because why? They're all Arabs. They're all Islam. They believe in, they're Muslim, and they believe in Islam and Allah. Okay? Play on.
By Saudi Arabia for 11 years. This was a huge, huge thing. So the first Mahan Air flight went there to collect a Yemeni delegation to take them to Tehran for the funeral ceremonies related to the burial of Ayatollah Khamenei. And then there was this flight back.
So the same flight, this is what they did. They broke the siege and they picked up Yemenis people because they too wanted to honor, as a delegation, to honor the respect for the Ayatollah Khamenei that died. And had the last week we did the show, the biggest outdoor gathering in the history of mankind ever. the biggest funeral in the history of mankind ever. And the Yemenis wanted to be there. So Iran sent a plane to Sana'a airport, which they didn't have any airplanes of their own because the Israeli bombed the last 3 of them. So now they're coming to bring Yemenis delegates and other Yemen, people from Yemen, back to Yemen. Watch what they do. Play.
To Sana'a, taking a lot of Yemenis, plus some other Yemenis who were in Tehran, etc. 250 people, more or less, was an Airbus filled to the brink. And when the Mahan Air flight was approaching Sana'a, there was a bombing of the runway. Wow. So the pilot, under extreme circumstances, the guy was, wow, amazing stuff. So he did a 90-degree turn before landing, and he landed in Hodeidah, which is not an airport anymore because Hodeidah was also bombed by the Americans last year. And by some, I would say, intervention from above, the runway of Hodeidah.
So here's the point. Now, you mess with Yemen. Now, keep that in mind. Go to the last, number 12, I think it is. Okay, so if Iran has ties to Yemen, why? All they were trying to do is go to pick up Yemenis to fly to Iran to keep the Ayatollah Khomeini's major remember they had people from Saudi Arabia there, Russia, China, all giving different gifts and accolades. He was respected throughout the whole world. Remember Trump said, I didn't know anybody liked him. I thought they all hated him. And it was the largest funeral in the history of mankind. This goes to show how ignorant our president is. He's got a bunch of dummies around him. Okay? Okay, we're going to read this article. Yes, this is important.
Reuters. Iran tells the Houthis to close Red Sea gateway if U.S. hits power network, sources say. This was today.
Yes, sir.
July 16th.
Let's see the satellite. Because we got 10 more minutes. I want to take my time with this. Scroll. You see that image above with the water? That is the Strait of. So it's very narrow because if you look at in between the shores of Intria and that's the narrowest portion, right? That's a real-time satellite image. Scroll back a little bit. We can read the words right there. Read that.
A satellite image shows Bab el-Mandab Strait, a key shipping waterway and the gateway to the Red Sea, as Iran threatens using Yemen's Houthi allies to shut the Bab el-Mandab gateway to the Red Sea, is basically what that's going to say.
Exactly. Understand this. We said before, 70% of Saudi Arabia oil was going through that strait because of the Strait of Hormuz closing. Now, let's think about it. If the Saudis know this, do you really think that the Saudis have an interest of really getting on the bad side of the Houthis? Or if you are the Israelis and you want to cause confusion, like you did in Saudi Arabia by sending Mossad agents to try to detonate and destroy infrastructure, and if they had been successful, guess what? The Iranians blew up the Saudi infrastructure. The Mossad, all of these agencies are causing all these problems throughout all of these Arab lands, and they have to wake the hell up, and they're going to wake up. Read on.
Dubai, July 16th, Reuters. Iran has asked Yemen's Houthi movement to stand ready to close the Red Sea oil route if the United States strikes Iran's power infrastructure. 3 sources told Reuters on Thursday, posing a potent new threat to global energy supplies.
Scott Ritter said that tens of millions of people could die. We also read earlier that Donald Trump said, next week it's going to be bad. We're going to bomb the bridges, then we'll bomb their power structures. He does not understand. Well, he doesn't understand what he's doing. God is a master to make all of these Arabs come together. Because think about it. If the Houthis close the Strait of Still can't pronounce the damn thing.
Bob El Mendel.
Bob El Mendel. If they close that strait, Saudi Arabia does not have an economy. They don't have an economy. Now, the people of Saudi Arabia will turn up in protest and rise up over their elite families. Understand it. The Arab people will rise up together. Play on. Read on.
The idea has been discussed within Islamic Republic's leadership.
That's the army of Iran.
And the message has been conveyed to Iran's Houthi allies.
Meaning they're partners, they're not divided. Read on.
Two senior Iranian sources and a regional source familiar with the matter said, speaking on conditions of autonomy.
Anonymity.
Anonymity.
Yes. Keep going. The sources.
The sources said the Houthis have been informed recently of Tehran's request, which has not been previously reported.
I want you to understand, if you think that they have not been talking about this for years, if not decades, you're wrong. They said if these Americans do this, we are going to do that. They've been planning this for years, just like since 9/11, when they started to attack all the countries after that. Iran has been preparing with underground bunkers because they knew that this day was going to come. You don't think that the Houthis, you don't think that Hamas, all of these people work together? They all see Esau as the colonizer, the oppressor, the great Satan. They all see that. Okay,
this is war!
Play on.
They did not give further detail on how it had been conveyed or whether it was after U.S. President Donald Trump's threat to attack Iranian power infrastructure on Tuesday. Iran's foreign ministry and a spokesperson for the Houthi group were not immediately available to respond to Reuters' request.
Cap,
bring it out.
To your point right here, when you brought out Exodus, the 8th chapter, the memorandum of understanding says we're not going to fight anymore.
Right.
In the next following week, we're going to bomb Iran again. Do you see? It's just like Pharaoh said, yeah, I'm going to let them go. Then you go back. No, I'm not going to let them go. It's lined up perfectly.
Yes.
This is the Most High. Most High is visiting men when they sleep and putting people around Donald Trump. And the ones that are resigning, like this admirals and generals that have resigning and been forced out and they're saying something, but they don't have any power. An attorney was just appointed. I forget what position she was in. She was appointed. Donald Trump fired her the same day because he has the executive branch power. He controls everything in the executive branch. He can fire at will. And remember, he's got midterms coming up in November. And listen, right now, like Netanyahu, Trump has got to stay in a war. He's gonna watch. He's gonna stay in a war.
So when they go to the White House, it's day to day. They don't know if their card gonna work at the gate.
Right.
He might be done fire. He might be the Lord done sealed him at night. Like, yeah, well, I'm gonna fire that whole cabinet tomorrow. Then they show up, bang, access denied. We gotta escort you. What do you mean? Oh, he fired you this morning. What?
Talk about walking on eggshells. Yeah. Donald Trump is living up to his name and his TV show, The Apprentice. You're fired. This and that. Check out. Let's read the rest of this article. We're gonna close out after this. I want everybody to understand that we got to get the Bab el Mandeb Strait. Bab el Mandeb Strait is going to be the talk going forward. The Strait of Hormuz is controlled by the Iranians. Okay, the Bab el Mandeb Strait is controlled by the Houthis, who are Arabs. The Suez Canal, well, and I don't know how much of a puppet government they are, but they are Arabs. And the prophecy says that they will come out together with many chariots. The nations of the dragons, the Arab nation of Egypt, it ain't the blacks that run in this time. They are going to come. How do you come together? If you can control, arguably, besides, well, the Panama Canal, and the Strait of Gibraltar. Pull up a map of the Mediterranean Sea real quick.
Hey, Cap, why they getting that map?
Bring it out.
When you look at that strait, Babel, confusion. You know how much confusion it be when they close that strait and the Strait of Hormuz?
You in the spirit,
That's
bro.
the Lord.
That's heavy. Damn. So look at Mediterranean Sea. I want to look at the Mediterranean Sea from the other side. So these are the waterways. Do me a favor.
Pull up the Strait of Gibraltar. That's what Cap's looking for.
That's it right there. Can you blow up Europe real quick? Okay. So if we look, Morocco, circle Morocco and Portugal. Spain, yellow.
Spain, Morocco.
Upper left-hand corner. There you go. That small strait is called the Strait of Gibraltar. That is significantly wider than the Strait of Bab el-Mandeb, right? And definitely wider than the Strait of Hormuz. If you think about it, right? Esau's got that on lock over there. But if the Arabs control the Suez Canal, if the Arabs control the Strait of Bab el-Mandeb, and if the Carmanians and the Arabs control the Strait of Hormuz, that whole area, which is the most prevalent for oil production and many other things, fertilizer, it's going to shut the world down. You have to have power to come out like the sound of wind to scare people. This, we're showing you, this is what it is. And furthermore, same thing with the Panama Canal. The Panama, that's whoever controls that has power. These are the things we have to be very mindful. Now, China and Russia are over there. Keep in mind that I think Professor Xi said this as well. One thing that Iran has in advantage is that it can have rails to go right through Afghanistan, cut through I can't pronounce that. 2 countries away, you're in China. Turkmenistan, right? If you go up through Turkmenistan and the other Uzbekistan, you can get to Russia going straight up. Actually, going straight up, you can get to. Matter of fact, Iran damn near is close to. Look at the southwestern corner of Russia, the Caspian Sea. Russia's not far away from Iran at all. No. So they can bring, even through truckload and through railway, they can bring supplies in. Look how big Russia is. From Russia and China. And remember BRICS. So keep that in mind. We're going to finish the article. We're going to close out, y'all. We started late tonight. Keep this in mind. War is happening right now, and it is good for something. It is going to bring in the destruction of Babylon the Great. And you're seeing its leader is crazy. He's a lunatic. You got other Edomites saying this guy's absolutely is going insane. Read.
Houthis deploy drones near Bab el-Mandeb, says source. A source close to the Houthis said the group had completed preparations to attack shipping by deploying missiles and drones near Bab el-Mandeb Strait, the gateway to the Red Sea, in Yemen's highlands overlooking.
Pause. This is another point. Yemen, during that, has a very. Do me a favor. Can you type in? I have to get this. Type in Yemen topography map. Yemen topography. Topograph. Topography is a map of circles, and it shows high points and low points. So anytime you see a country western music, country western movie, any war movie, they always have the saying, get to the high ground, take the high ground. Look at that map. It's a great map. Look at the one with the dark red. If you look at that's it right there. So if you look at the Strait of Bab el-Mandeb, right, which is right over there too. The elevation is somewhat mountainous over there. Green is more flat land, right? So from that point where you see the highest elevation above 3,000 meters, so a meter, that's about 10,000 feet. A meter is more than 3 feet. A meter is more than a yard. Those mountains are over almost 10,000 feet. From that area, they can launch all kind of attacks from that strait. They have the high ground. Understand that. So they can launch a drone missile warfare. Iran can also take their coordinates and shoot over Saudi and Yemeni's airspace. They've got the high ground. Okay, go back to that. And we're going to finish up.
In Yemen's highland overlooking Hodeidah and the Gulf of Aden, and was awaiting the order to begin.
So they waiting on what do you need, Iran? Read on.
Any threat to the Red Sea and its Bab el-Mandeb gateway risk hugely exacerbating the global energy crisis triggered by Iran's closure of the Strait of Hormuz, and underscores the explosive risk stemming from a new round of warfare.
Put up a map. We're going to close out here. Put up a map, the last map of the Persian Gulf. Check this out. I want us to really wrap our mind around it. If the Strait of Hormuz is closed to Saudi, Saudi has a huge, all of the Red Sea to the right or the east, except for the bottom of Yemen, is all Saudi coastline. All Saudi coastline. 70% of their exports, some are going to go up, going to go out and go up through the Suez Canal. So say 30% is doing that. But the bulk of their commerce, it's particularly oil, is going through the Strait of Bab el-Mandeb. If the Yemenis, Houthis, shut that down, it is going to be a major. It's going to cause a lot of people going to die.
Mm-hmm.
And the life in the U.S. is going to get a lot harder than you Negroes have it right now. So this is why we tell y'all, leave the map. We tell y'all, Bishop Nathaniel, the bishops of IUIC have been telling us, prepare for famine, get your bills low, grow your own food, learn to be self-reliant and self-sufficient, and learn what Philippians chapter 2, verse 3 to 5 means. We are going to have to esteem each other better than ourselves, because some of us are going to need each other to survive. And it's not there yet, but let gas go up to $5, $6, $7 a gallon. You have to start making decisions. I have to change this job, or we can't do this anymore. We got to choose this. I can't afford to pay my mortgage. I got to do something. Things are gonna happen. We have to take this seriously, and if we don't, shame on us. So. Put up the thumbnail one more time. No, actually, what time? No, we're going to stop right now. War, what is it good for? Absolutely nothing, absolutely something, right? Because we know that we see these times and things happen. We know that the end is coming, all right? So if you could look here at PayPal, go ahead and subscribe. That's subscribe. Hit the PayPal notification. Text GIVE to 646-982-3858. And we appreciate your timely logging in. We apologize for the delay. We hope that you got something out of tonight's show. And if you have any ideas, really what we do for the shows are, it's matter of fact, I go back tonight and there's something new that's coming out just now. So everything is like fresh. Today's article, the change is this change. So that's it, y'all. Share the link. It's late. It's very late. Share the link. Share, subscribe, like, and all that. So with that, I'm your host. We are your hosts, excuse me. Captain Shem.
Officer Micah.
Officer Mikael.
And with that, brothers and sisters, we say shalom.
You're never going to see this on any mainstream news.
This ain't what you want. This is what you need.
Can't never forget.
Yeah, they made us slaves. Hung our kids from trees.
I never forget.
Nooses on our neck, whipped us till we bleed.
And they gotta get it.
Hey man, call it Galatians 3:13.
You're now tuned in to Precept Upon Precept.
Crew so strange. Look at how low they hang. Oh man, took out the chains. So when the wind blow, we just swing. Much oppression, never killer. Breaking dreams and it's bitter. Ready, set, bullet.